The dinner invite came through your mother's voice message as always, passive-aggressively sweet like honey over barbed wire. We'd love for you to join us Sunday. It's been so long, sweetheart. Everyone will be there. Everyone. That's code for everyone who still sees you as the girl who quit law school, as the daughter who moved out, stayed out, and didn't call for birthdays. You almost deleted the message. Almost. But something in you, maybe morbid curiosity, maybe a tiny ember of hope, nudges you toward the RSVP. You text back, "Sure, I'll be there." No emojis. Just plain and restrained like your seat at the table has always been. Sunday comes fast. You arrive early because lateness would be another mark against you. You chose your outfit carefully minimalist, but elegant, a pantsuit in slate gray that fits like a whisper. Not flashy, just expensive enough that only a few would know. The restaurant is one of Dad's favorites. White tablecloths, waiters who memorize your drink. It smells like lemon butter and old pride. As you walk in, your heels echo in the hallway like someone confident. You almost believe it yourself. You see them before they see you. Your brother laughing loud, your sister showing off baby pictures, your mom performing warmth for the server. You inhale, hold, release. You step forward. "Look who finally decided to show up," your cousin mutters, just loud enough to wound, just quiet enough to be deniable. They shuffle, barely clearing a seat at the end of the table farthest from your father. He doesn't look up. You slide into the corner. The napkin's already folded wrong. The server takes your drink order. You ask for still water. That too feels judged. Conversation flows around you like you're a ghost with a purse. You try to nod, smile, insert yourself. It's like learning to dance mid-performance. Everyone already knows the steps and none of them involve you. Then come the stories. "Remember when you crashed your car and Mom had to drive an hour to pick you up?" your sister says with performative fondness. The laughter is sharp-pointed. A few eyes dart to you. You nod like it's funny. You chew the inside of your cheek. Later, when someone asks what you've been up to, they do it with a tone that already assumes the answer. Nothing much. Right? You just smile, keeping busy. "Still working that little thing you do?" your brother asks. His eyebrows say it all. Little thing. You sip your water. It's ice cold, like the seat they gave you, like the truth you haven't told them. You glance down at your phone. A calendar reminder pings quarterly revenue call. Prep materials due by EOD. You swipe it away. Across the table, your father finally speaks. "You know, sweetheart, if you need help finding something real, we have connections. Just say the word." The word. He always assumes you don't know any. You force a smile. You nod. You say, "Thanks, Dad. I'll think about it." You won't. You already have a team of 27 thinking for you. And yet, here you are, sitting like a child again, like the girl who disappointed, the girl they tolerated. You pick at the breadbasket. The butter is cold. The knife scrapes across it like static, and it hits you. You're not here for closure. You're not even here for revenge. You're here to watch. To watch them speak so confidently about the world they think they run. To listen as they laugh over a table you quietly paid the reservation for, because you're not who they think you are anymore. And soon they'll see it. You count 12 people at the table. 11 of them have a role already carved out. The golden son, the baby, the martyr mom, the clueless uncle. You're just the extra chair, the afterthought. They didn't even wait to order starters. The calamari's half eaten. There's a second bottle of wine already open. You've been here 15 minutes and no one has asked if you're hungry. Your seat is technically part of the table, but socially it's an island. You're close enough to hear them, but too far to be heard. You lean in. You nod politely. You laugh when expected. You become furniture with a pulse. Your brother starts recounting his latest win, some company acquisition, something with numbers and investors and a private golf course you've actually visited more times than he knows. But of course he assumes you've never heard the word portfolio without Googling it first. You listen as your dad beams. That's how you build something real. Not like these startups that pop up and crash like bugs under a boot. No one looks at you, but the sentence lands in your lap like a burning ember. You excuse yourself to the restroom mostly for oxygen. In the mirror, you check your reflection, not the makeup or the earrings, but the way your eyes look when they're trying not to roll. You splash some water on your wrists. Not to cool down, but to remember you're real. You exist. When you return, someone's taken your bread plate. Your mother glances at you. "Oh, were you still eating?" she asks, as if surprised you consume food.
You sit again. You let it slide. For now.
Then the conversation shifts to children. So your aunt starts you planning to have any soon, or still too focused on whatever you're doing. You smile. That polite, slightly acidic one. Still doing whatever. It's very time-consuming. Your cousin snorts. You always were the weird one. Your dad sips his drink. Not weird, just aimless. You hear it. You really hear it this time. No metaphor, no subtlety. Just an arrow shot straight through the throat of your silence. You look at him. Right, you say slowly because God forbid someone take a different path. But he doesn't hear the steel under your words. He never does. The server arrives with the mains. Yours hasn't been ordered. "Oh," your mom says with an airy laugh, "we didn't know what you'd want." You order quickly, trying not to let it sting. Trying not to let them see the small fire they keep feeding. Your brother talks over you loudly and on purpose about his vacation to the Maldives, about the overwater bungalow, about the private chef. You remember that trip you paid for half of it when his crypto investment tanked, but of course he never tells that part. You wonder how many people at this table know how often they've borrowed money from you under different names. How many of them know they're sitting next to their own collateral? But you stay quiet. You watch. It's like observing a species convinced it's the apex predator while perched on the edge of extinction. You sip your water again. Let them cook. Let them eat their own certainty. You are no longer the girl at the edge of the table. You're the woman who bought the table. They just don't know it yet. The toast begins halfway through the steak course, as if they couldn't wait until dessert to crown the night with something condescending. Your brother stands knife still in one hand, wine glass in the other. His voice rings with the kind of authority only eldest sons and inherited confidence can manufacture. "I just want to say he starts how proud I am of this family. We've come so far and I think it's because we support each other. We show up. We don't give up." You already know where this is going. Everyone at this table does. He continues. "Mom, Dad, you built this legacy. And sis," he looks toward your younger sister, the self-proclaimed Instagram therapist, "you've made something amazing out of your brand. And even Mark." He gestures to your cousin, who nods like someone just offered him a certificate, finally finished his MBA. They all clap. You don't. You just wait. There's a pause. A long one. Then your brother gives a tiny smirk.
"And of course, some of us are still finding our way. But that's okay, too. Every family has a dreamer."
That word. Dreamer. It lands on the table with a thud, heavy with judgment wrapped in a ribbon of sarcasm. The kind that makes the others chuckle softly into their napkins. You look down at your plate. Your food's gone cold. Your father raises his glass in unspoken endorsement of the jab. To those who lead and those who follow, he says, eyes twinkling like he just wrote a Hallmark card. Your mother gives you a look that's meant to be sympathetic but drips with condescension. You know that look. It's the one she gives to wounded birds and overcooked roasts. You clink your glass anyway, just enough to avoid further attention. Just enough to look small and manageable. Inside, though, something peels loose. You remember a time when this would have cracked you open, this public erasure, this theatrical display of hierarchy. But not tonight. Not anymore. Tonight it curdles into something else. Not sadness. Not shame. Clarity. You don't even touch your entree. You push the plate forward, napkin folded neatly on top. You let them have their little kingdom of illusions. Your cousin leans over. "No offense, but what do you actually do?" You glance at him, eyes cool. Whatever I want. He laughs like it's a joke. That's fine. Let him laugh. Across the room, a waiter approaches your waiter, the one you requested when you made the reservation. You nod discreetly. He nods back. More water, he asks, polite as ever. You hand him your card. Settle the bill when they're ready, you say under your breath. He glances at the black titanium rectangle, then at you.
Of course, ma'am.
The word catches. Ma'am, not miss. Not sweetie, not young lady. It echoes in your ribcage like a promise finally fulfilled.
You sit back. You smile faintly. You let them laugh, toast, brag, dismiss.
You let them dig the hole deeper. Because soon enough, someone's going to hand them the shovel. You bite your tongue, then the inside of your cheek, then metaphorically your entire past. Because you could say it. You could crack the whole evening open like a stale dinner roll. You could list the figures, the holdings, the firm they don't even know you own yet. But instead, you stay quiet. Not out of fear. Out of control. Your dad is halfway through another story. Something about how hard it is to find competent young employees these days. They don't want to work, he says, with the smug wisdom of someone who hasn't written his own emails in 10 years. You know his assistant. You promoted her last quarter. You shift slightly in your seat, no longer cold. Something about silence, when it's chosen not forced, gives it heat. Wait. Your mother asks if you've thought about going back to school. You were always so smart, you just needed direction. She offers, buttering her words as if they'll go down easier that way. You look at her and almost laugh. Not out loud, just in your head. Because last week you sat across from a senator pitching tech policy initiatives your team drafted. 2 days ago you were on a call with a woman in Tokyo who asked for your insight before closing a billion-yen deal. But sure, let's talk about community college. You breathe, long, steady. There's a particular kind of cruelty in being underestimated. But an even sharper pleasure in watching them do it to your face, unaware of what they're handing you moment by moment. A slow-building proof of everything they've never understood about you.
You sit through the next 30 minutes like a scientist observing a failed experiment.
Your uncle corners you with a side eye and a whiskey breath. You know you could always come work for your dad's company. Might be good for you. Learn something about responsibility. You want to say, I'm on the board of his parent company. You want to say he reports to people who report to me.
But instead you nod slowly. That's sweet. I'll think about it.
They nod like they've done you a favor. They think they've planted a seed. But what they don't realize is, you already own the orchard. You glance down at your phone again. A message lights up. Your brief was brilliant. The merger's going forward. FYI, CEO wants to mention you in the announcement. You swipe it away. Not yet. Let it sit. Back at the table, the conversation shifts to politics, then veers to something about how kids these days are too soft. You tune it out. Instead, you tune inward. You remember that time you were 17 and your father said, "You're too emotional to run anything serious." You remember crying in the garage. You remember deciding right then to run everything. They think they wounded you into stillness, but they didn't. They forged something they never bothered to check the temperature on. You sip the last of your water. The glass is empty now. You are not. You are full of restraint, of power, of timing. Let them talk. Let them call you names. Let them believe in the mythology they've built, where you're the black sheep with nothing to show but ideas and dreams and soft hands. Because you're about to let the truth walk in. And when it does, you won't need to say a word. The call comes just as the server clears your untouched plate. Your phone buzzes softly in your lap, the screen lighting up with a single name, Claire, exec liaison. You glance at it. One buzz. Then another. You excuse yourself politely, standing up as if heading to the restroom again. No one even looks up. That's the magic of invisibility. They've rehearsed your absence so many times they no longer notice the exit. You step outside into the evening air. It's crisp, touched with jasmine and car exhaust, the kind of scent that reminds you the world is still moving, even when your family is stuck in reruns. Talk to me, you say into the phone. Claire's voice is clipped, efficient, proud. It's done. Legal finalized the acquisition and your name's on the press release. It goes live at midnight. You inhale. Deep. Slow. It's the final piece. They think your little tech consultancy is just a hobby. They don't know it just bought the very conglomerate Dad's company has depended on for contracts since before your brother hit puberty. You nod slowly, even though Claire can't see you. And the internal memo. Sent. Your name's all over it. No more shells, no more backroom trusts. This time it's public. Good. There's a pause, and then her voice softens.
You sure you don't want to announce it yourself? You'd make headlines by morning.
You glance back through the restaurant window. Your dad's face is red from laughing too hard. Your mom is miming baby gestures with your niece. They're still laughing at a table you paid for with a card they couldn't read if you handed it to them. No, you reply. I want them to hear it. Naturally. Claire exhales. You're terrifying, you know that. You smile faintly, only when provoked. You end the call. Slide your phone back into your pocket like nothing's changed. But everything has. You step back inside and something's different about your walk. You feel it in your shoulders, the deliberate pacing of your heels, the way your breath moves easily now, unburdened. You return to the table. Your seat is still warm. Your wine glass refilled without your asking. Someone jokes that you must have gotten lost. You grin. Something like that. Your brother's halfway into a long-winded analysis of real estate investing, citing buzzwords you wrote into a white paper last fall. It's about scale and partnerships, he says, mispronouncing syndicate. You nod along. You smile. Let him finish. You don't interrupt small performances with big truths. That's not your style. When the server returns with dessert menus, he places one just in front of you. Will we be needing the check soon, ma'am? He asks gently. You nod once. Put it on the card I gave you earlier. Your mother's eyes flick toward you. You're paying.
You smile. Figured I'd treat you all tonight.
Ah, she says with a practiced sweetness. How thoughtful of you. No one asks what card it was. No one thinks to. You sip from your wine and look at them. All of them. Clinging to their little assumptions like life preservers. And for the first time tonight, you don't feel defensive or drained. You feel powerful, not the loud kind of power that brags and breaks things. The quiet kind.
The kind that waits.
Because a storm is coming, and you know exactly who's going to get caught in it. You cross your legs, lean back slightly, and let the sound of dessert forks tapping against porcelain fill the silence between bursts of bragging. No one thanks you for the bill. No one asks what you've been working on lately. No one cares, except the waiter. He returns with the receipt folder and gently places it beside your elbow. His eyes meet yours for a split second, professional but laced with curiosity, maybe even respect. He's young, sharp. Probably noticed the black card with no name on the front. The kind that doesn't come with a credit limit, only questions.
You slide the receipt toward you. Sign.
He collects it wordlessly, but not before one of your cousins notices. Wait. Did you pay for the whole table? You nod once, still calm. Seemed easier. There's a murmur. Not gratitude, just confusion. The way people react when their version of you doesn't line up with reality. Your cousin does the math in his head. 12 people drink steak wine, this isn't pocket change. Your brother glances at you with narrowed eyes. Didn't know you were doing that well. I manage, you reply, spooning a bit of creme brulee. The caramel cracks like thin ice. Clean. Satisfying. He forces a laugh. Well, hey, you always were the artsy one. You smirk. Guess it worked out. They don't ask how. They don't want to know. Knowing would require reordering the stories they've clung to for years, the ones where you were the rebel, the runaway, the disappointment with a soft heart and no direction. Let them keep their stories. Just as you set your spoon down, the front door of the restaurant opens. The energy changes before anyone sees who it is. You feel it first. The slight pause in conversation, the low rustle of recognition that spreads through the diners near the entrance, like ripples from a dropped stone.
And then your father says his name, Jonathan.
Every head turns. Jonathan Wang, CEO of Midstate Holdings, your father's boss, the man with a reputation for deals that crush competitors like ants. He's not just successful, he's feared. He's holding a takeout bag, dressed in what can only be called rich man casual. But when he spots you, everything shifts. He stops walking, raises an eyebrow, and smiles. Well, this is a surprise, he says, stepping toward the table, but not toward your father. Toward you. You stand slowly. Jonathan, didn't expect to see you here. He laughs.
Didn't expect to see you. You're always off somewhere, Tokyo, London, the Caymans.
He trails off, shaking his head, like he's talking to someone far too busy to pin down.
You keeping your father in line.
The table freezes. Someone coughs. Your father chuckles awkwardly.
You two know each other.
Jonathan blinks, then laughs again. Of course we do. Haven't you told them?
You say nothing, just smile. Let him talk.
He turns to the table. She owns the firm. A single sentence, and silence falls like snow. No one moves. No one blinks. You don't speak. You don't nod. You just slide your chair back in and sit down again, gently resting your hands in your lap like it's any other Tuesday. Your father is still stuck on the word owns. Your mother clutches her wine glass tighter. Jonathan chuckles to himself. Anyway, just grabbing dinner to go. But it's good to see you. He nods to you, then adds, We're lucky to have you. The whole board says so. He waves casually, then walks out. The bag of takeout swings in his hand like a punctuation mark. No one at the table moves. No one says a word. But somewhere near the kitchen, a fork hits the floor. There's a kind of silence that feels accidental, like someone forgot to keep talking. Then, there's the silence, now. Thick. Intentional. Like the world has been tilted and everyone's still waiting for gravity to catch up.
You don't say a word.
Neither does your father. His face is somewhere between disbelief and something else. Recognition, maybe. Or the slow unraveling of a story he's told himself for years. That you needed guidance. That you were floundering. That he was the one building something real. Your mother clears her throat. What did he mean owns the firm? You glance at her gently. Exactly that. The answer is so clean, so devoid of performance, that it unnerves her more than any dramatic outburst could have. Your brother looks confused. Wait, what firm? The one Dad works for, you say still calmly. The parent company. I acquired it last quarter. It's almost funny watching their faces try to piece together what that even means. Like a group of people translating a foreign language one word at a time, not quite believing what they're hearing. Your father leans forward, eyes narrowing. You bought Midstate Holdings. You nod, not directly. Through one of the shell firms I consolidated last year. But yes, my name's at the top now. He blinks slowly. Why wouldn't you tell us? There it is. The question rooted not in curiosity, but in injury. The kind of hurt that comes when someone realizes they were the last to know something they never thought possible. You let the silence hang. Because why would you announce yourself to people who never asked? Why would you explain your power to those who never believed you had any? I wasn't sure you'd care, you say. Or believe me. Your sister shifts uncomfortably in her seat. But, when did this all happen? You never post anything. You're always just so quiet. I don't need an audience to build something, you reply. I just need a plan. Your cousin is now openly gawking. So, what, you're like rich. You almost laugh. Define rich. He shrugs helplessly.
Like, can retire before 30 rich.
I could have retired at 28, but I enjoy the work. Your mother picks up her napkin, dabbing at her lips, though they're already dry. So when you said you were managing, that was Accurate, you say with a smile, just incomplete. They sit with that. You give them the space to wrestle with their own memories. All the times they dismissed your ideas, changed the subject, minimized your wins. All the years they mistook your silence for failure. Your father finally speaks again. Why buy the firm I work for? You pause. Look at him. It wasn't personal. It was smart business. Your division was undervalued and the leadership was inefficient. I saw an opportunity and took it. He stares. Not angry, just hollowed out. Like something inside him is recalibrating. You mean I report to you? He says, almost a whisper. You hold his gaze, not directly, but yes. Eventually, everything reports to me. No one touches their dessert anymore. The laughter is gone. So is the smugness. What's left is what you brought to the table. Power. Earned. Unapologetic. And you didn't have to raise your voice once. There's a soft clang as someone's fork slips and hits a plate. Your cousin mutters a half-hearted oops, but nobody laughs this time. You remain still. The air feels heavier now, like the oxygen has thickened just enough to make everyone shift uncomfortably in their chairs. You've felt this silence before, but never from the winning side. Your brother finally breaks it. So, does Dad still have a job? He tries to say it like a joke, but his voice wavers just enough to betray him. You turn to your father, not with pity, not with glee, just clarity.
That depends, you say slowly, on whether he adapts.
Your father flinches ever so slightly. Not at the words, but at the truth inside them. You lean forward. Jonathan knew it. So did the board. You were coasting, loyal but complacent. We needed leadership that could see 5 years ahead, not just next quarter's numbers. You're not here to punish, but you're also not here to soften anything anymore. You sit back and watch them digest it, your words, your presence, your redefinition. Your mother tries to assemble herself into the family spokesperson again. So, what does this mean? For us. You pause. Nothing has to change, you say, unless you want it to. And that somehow is more terrifying to them than a threat. They realize now that the version of you they've built their identities around no longer exists. The underachiever, the misfit, the dreamer with no roadmap. You erased her. You replaced her with someone they don't recognize. Someone who smiles quietly while owning everything under their feet. Your aunt attempts to pivot. Well, isn't that something I always knew you were clever? You look at her. No, you didn't. And that's okay. She looks down at her lap. Your sister, who hasn't said much until now, leans in almost whispering. Is this why you didn't come to my baby shower? You nod once. I was negotiating with 2 governments and 6 venture partners across 3 time zones. She blinks, stunned. You could have told us. I tried, you say, gently. You called me selfish for being busy.
There it is.
The tiny confession tucked between the lines of your tone. Not anger, not spite. Just the lived experience of being overlooked until you made yourself undeniable. Your father finally breaks the tension again. So, what now? You think about that. What now? You don't need anything from them. Not applause, not validation, not a seat at their table.
You've built your own table.
But still, there's something that pulls you some strand of history that doesn't want revenge, only recognition. You reach into your clutch and pull out a slim envelope. Slide it across the table to your father. He picks it up, slowly opens it with hesitant fingers. It's a letter, a formal offer, an executive consultancy, short-term, high-paid, designed not to humiliate but to honor what he once was. Because part of power is choosing what kind of legacy you allow others to keep. He looks at you, eyes glistening. You meet his gaze, no smile, just truth. Your knowledge still matters, you say. But I won't carry your denial anymore. He nods slowly. Once.
The others don't speak. They've run out of clever things to say.
For the first time all evening, they're truly seeing you. Not the girl they used to talk over. Not the black sheep they pitied. But the woman they can no longer ignore. You don't need their applause. You didn't come for it. Still, There's something quietly satisfying about the way their utensils lie motionless now, as if even the food doesn't know how to behave anymore. You lift your water glass again. It's nearly empty, but you swirl the last few drops and sip slowly. It gives them time to squirm.
Your brother breaks first, of course he does. Okay,
He says, forcing a tight smile.
so, you've got money. Big deal. Doesn't mean you're better than us.
You tilt your head. Did I say I was? He goes quiet. Because that's the thing about fragile pride, it bruises at the first brush of confidence. You don't need to belittle them. Their own discomfort is doing the work for you. They're scrambling now, mentally rewriting the past, every conversation they dismissed you, and every passive-aggressive compliment they coated in syrup. Your cousin mutters, "You could have told us. We'd have treated you differently."
And that right there is why you never did.
You glance at him. Exactly. He blinks, then looks away. There's a shared silence among the family now, not the frozen kind from earlier, but something else. An unraveling. A reckoning. Your father, still holding the offer letter in his lap, looks tired. Older. But for once, maybe not proud. Not disappointed. Just aware. Your mother speaks quietly. I think I owe you an apology. You meet her eyes. She continues, voice smaller than you've ever heard it. For the way we talked about you. For not asking. You nod. Not out of forgiveness, but recognition. Thank you. You're not here to mend everything. You're not their fixer.
But it's something.
The server arrives with the dessert cart, awkwardly cheerful, oblivious to the storm he's walking into. Would anyone like a slice of cake or tart tonight? No one answers.
Until you speak up. Yes, you say. Lemon, please.
He cuts a slice and places it in front of you with a smile. Great choice. You nod. I know. You take your time with it, slicing into the lemon tart as your family stares. Not in horror anymore, just in unfamiliarity. They're meeting someone new, someone you've always been, but never let them see. You let them sit in it. Let them taste the bitter edge of ego with every quiet bite of their own silence. They've always fed on your invisibility. Tonight you serve them reflection instead. Your sister clears her throat.
So, what do you do now?
You look at her thoughtfully. I lead, I build, I decide. A beat. But most of all, I listen. She tilts her head. To who? To people who never had a seat at the table. Until I made one. The words land not like a hammer, but like a map they never thought to read. They don't know where to go from here. And that's the point. You've left the old narrative so far behind they'd need a passport and a time machine to catch up. The check's been paid. The power's shifted. You wipe your lips with your napkin. Fold it neatly.
You're done. You stand slowly, not abruptly, not for effect. Just with the ease of someone who no longer owes the room an explanation. Your chair glides back with the faintest scrape, a sound that somehow feels final. No one stops you. No one asks where you're going. They just watch wide-eyed, quiet reeling. You place your clutch under your arm and give a small nod to the server, who instinctively steps aside, as if recognizing royalty leaving court. That's what it feels like in a way. Not a dinner. A reckoning. Behind you, your father is still holding the letter. You don't look back, but you know. It's heavy in his hand. Not just the paper, but the implications. The inversion of everything he once believed about you. You walk past the front counter, past the quiet murmurs of strangers who overheard just enough to guess something monumental happened. And when you reach the door, you stop. You glance over your shoulder, not with malice, not with triumph. Just stillness. Your eyes sweep the table. Your mother with her hands folded tightly. Your sister blinking like she's processing a dream. Your brother slouched in his chair, arms crossed. Your cousin pretending to look at his phone but not really seeing anything. And your father no longer the towering figure he once was, but a man watching a life he thought he understood shift beneath his feet.
You offer a simple farewell. Take care. No drama. No grand exit.
Just enough.
And then you push open the door. Outside, the night air greets you like a friend who always knew your worth. The breeze wraps gently around your face. Streetlights blink down like quiet applause. Your car is waiting. Of course it is. The driver steps out to open the door. You thank him softly, slide into the back seat, and close the door without a second glance. As the engine hums to life, you allow yourself one deep exhale.
Not of relief.
Of release.
Because you're not angry anymore.
You're not broken. You're not invisible.
You're free.
They can sit at that table forever, carving new stories from their discomfort, wondering if you'll ever show up like that again. But you won't, because there's no reason to return to a room that once tried to shrink you.
They had their chance.
They made their judgment, and you made your empire. The car moves quietly through the city streets, and you let your head lean gently against the window. Buildings drift past in softened blurs of amber light and shadow. For once, the world feels exactly as it should, not rushed, not loud, not asking anything of you. You close your eyes. Behind your lids, echoes of the evening swirl like leaves in a shallow stream. Their voices, the silence, the fork that dropped, the way your name shifted the air in the room like a spell finally spoken aloud. But all of that is behind you now.
You have nothing left to prove. Not to them. Not to yourself.
There is a gentle stillness that wraps around you now, like a familiar coat rediscovered in the back of your closet, something that has always belonged to you, even when you forgot it was yours. You breathe. Not the breath of someone preparing to fight, but the kind that only comes when the war is over, and your armor, long unnecessary, falls quietly to the floor. Outside, the traffic slows. A red light. The hush of tires over damp pavement. A woman walks her dog beneath a flickering street lamp. She doesn't know who you are, and that too is a kind of peace. You're not the girl at the edge of the table anymore. You're the woman who left without saying goodbye and never needed to.
Your eyes remain closed. The city keeps moving.
And for the first time in a long time, you don't feel like you're chasing anything.
You're simply here.
Present.
Complete.
Somewhere in the distance, a street musician plays a quiet melody on a corner saxophone. The notes rise and fall like your breath, slow and steady. Soft. Forgiving. And if you're still awake, that's okay too. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.